Is a strong mustache enough to overcome life's adversity? Let's find out in Liam Neeson's new film, Absolution. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Your Past, and I'm here to talk to you about Absolution, which is coming to digital and on demand on December 10th, 2024. It is a new Liam Neeson movie where he has a fantastic mustache, just a strong, powerful mustache. So it must be good, right? It must just be an amazing story about an amazing person. But it is actually a story about a Neeson character who has a set of unusual skills, but also is kind of dealing with his own mortality. My hot take is, I think you should actually pass on it. Look, it has an interesting character and a slow build-up, but I don't think the film really built enough of an emotional connection for the character to make the drama actually resonate. To me, the drama felt a little bit forced. So I liked the idea of it. I liked kind of what Neeson has been doing as his career has been progressing, but I think ultimately this is a movie that you should pass on. But all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, you might not. There are some surprises. There are some, big twists involving what happens to Liam Neeson's character. I would turn off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. Unless you want to get to those spoilers. So in Absolution, you have Liam Neeson playing an aging gangster. I actually don't know if they ever tell you his name. I looked through my notes. I couldn't find his name. Maybe it's in there, but even on the IMDb page, it just lists him as Thug. He is an aging gangster that has been in the game for a very long time, but starts to kind of wonder about his legacy and his mortality. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I really liked the slow build-up. Like, I did like that this film took its time. You kind of got a good sense of Liam Neeson's character, his life, things like that. It didn't really get to the meat of this whole movie for a little bit, and I'm okay with that. Like, I like if a film takes its time, gives you a good feel for the character, for the setting, for what's going on. I did like that it kind of took a while to get there. The second thing I liked that, Liam Neeson is taking on kind of different roles. He was Mr. Action for a long time. He still is decent in action, but I think as he's aged, I think his character, he's starting to take on more of the like over the hill type action characters, which fits with kind of what he can do, but also fits with things he can bring to the movie. So I did like that. Also, I like kind of seeing how he has taken on more things like that. I think one of the movies he recently did was In the Land of Saints and Sinners, which is interesting. He's done a few like this where he is kind of an over the hill type of gangster, which is fun to see. So all that being said, things I didn't like as much about this movie. The first, I'm gonna go with like fake drama, and I can't really spoil too much in here, but it felt like there was, the whole kind of basis of the drama happened very quickly. And I'll go with that in the recap, but it feels like they kind of like flipped a switch almost when they wanted to get the drama in there, and it happened a little bit too quickly. Second thing I didn't love as much. I didn't really feel sympathy for his character. I don't know. For some reason, like I didn't feel much sympathy for his plight, for what was going on. Part of that is his character. I mean, his character is supposed to be someone that I don't think we're supposed to feel a lot of sympathy for. But you think in the movie when they're trying to like sell you on his plight, we should start to feel some sympathy for him. And I never really got that. So maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just how I connected to the character. But for me, it felt like again the drama was a little bit fake, and there was just I didn't feel sympathy for him when the drama started happening. And the last thing I didn't love as much, didn't really have good action. There's not a lot of action in this movie. There's some action, but when it was there, it wasn't super exciting. It was a little bit slow. It was a little too choreographed for me. So this is also kind of a hallmark of later Liam Neeson movies. He's getting older, so the action is not as tight as it used to be. So it's just something I noticed, and it's something that kind of like doesn't sit well because when the action happens, you want it to look good because it's kind of a nice surprise in this movie. So, all that being said, Absolution comes to digital and on demand December 10th, 2024. I think you should probably pass on it. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there'll be spoilers. So in Absolution, Liam Neeson plays a kind of like over the hill gangster who has been working for the same boss for 30 years. His boss is played by Ron Perlman. It was fun to see both of them in this movie. I liked seeing them both in there. But Neeson is kind of like an enforcer. He kind of does odd jobs for his boss, and he's a very reliable person. He's someone that has been in the game for a very long time. Now, he also, as most Neeson characters do, he has kind of a heart of gold. Early on, there is some lady who's getting bullied by her boyfriend. Neeson kind of steps in, and the boyfriend tries to step up to Neeson, and he just like punches him in the face, knocks him out. And then the girl's like, "Yo, what'd you do that? Like you knocked out my boyfriend. Like what are you gonna do?" And then She's like, "Who's gonna walk me home?" And wouldn't you know it, Neeson walks her home, and that is the start of a beautiful relationship between him and I don't remember her name either. In IMDb, she's called Woman. So again, not great with the naming in this movie. But in any event, they start to have a little bit of a relationship. Now, Neeson has his character has like been in violence for a very long time. It seems like he has had violence in his family. It feels like his father was in this line of work as well. Um, Maybe push his son into there. And so this has just been something he has been doing. Now, because of this line of work and because he's kind of a dirtbag, he doesn't really have anyone to go to. He has a couple children, but he's not close to them. He has a grandson that he's like never seen. And he lives kind of a solitary life until he meets woman. Now, he also is starting to have memory problems. So he goes to a doctor to like pick up a product, and that doctor kind of like notices his memories a little bit off, and so he kind of like gets him to go get a diagnosis. And what we find out is his character has CTE. So he had a lot of concussions growing up. He was a boxer. He was a great boxer growing up. He also, was kind of a rough kid growing up. So he got a lot of concussions, things like that. So now that is all coming back to bite him. And the doctor says that, you'll degrade. It takes time, but, at some point you will degrade greatly. And they ask, like, do you have any family, anyone that can take care of you? And he's like, no. So that's kind of the lot that his character has. He tries to take his own life, but stops. But because of this new diagnosis, he tries to see his kids. He calls his daughter, tries to get in contact with her. She's like, "Why are you calling me? Like, why would I want to see you? You stepped out on me." He also asks about his son, who apparently I think overdosed 2 years before, and no one ever told him. And he's like, "Why didn't anyone tell me?" He's like, "Why would we? Like, you're never around." So you get the sense that he has just been kind of like alone, abandoned by his family. He abandoned his family, and so this is kind of where he is in life now. Neeson has been working for this boss, played by Ron Perlman, for years, and it seems like Ron Perlman's kid is trying to get into the game, and so Ron Perlman has had his kid like ride with Neeson, just kind of like get a feel for it. And the kid is like egotistical, but he doesn't know what he's doing. And Liam Neeson is trying to help teach him, but the kid's a little cocky. And so, like one example, they're driving to New York. Neeson's driving the truck, and a cop pulls up next to them, and a cop is like coming up on them, and Neeson's like, "Get down, get down." He's like, "What? What do you mean? Like, I'm fine." He's like, "I don't want you looking there, looking all startled." And eventually, he like forces the kid down. It works. The cops didn't see, don't see anything wrong with Neeson driving, and they move on. But I think the kid takes this as kind of like a slight. He also, Neeson also gives very, uh, you know, unfiltered feedback to his boss about his kid, and it feels like the kid doesn't like that either. So there's a little bit of an antagonistic relationship there, even though Neeson is kind of like a mentor to him. Now, on this trip to New York, they're driving a truck. They're delivering some product. What's the product? We don't know. He pulls up to where they're dropping it off. The people the people come to unload, and the kid like goes back. He's like, let's go check the merchandise. And he's like, wait, what are you doing? No, we don't want to know what they're doing. We don't want to know what the product is. We just get here, deliver it, and leave. And as this is happening, some girl runs from the back of the truck and jumps onto the driver's side door and tries to get in. She's like grabbing Neeson's arm, trying to like have him help her. And he just kind of sits there because, he can't intervene. And she's eventually pulled away. Now, I think he probably knew that this was what he was doing, but this, I guess, affects him. He doesn't do anything there, but this causes him to like think, I guess, maybe contemplate on some of the things he's doing. Maybe it's a more kind of like stark realization of what he is doing. So this seems to affect him as well. And also maybe it's the fact that he's also reconnecting to his daughter. He tries to like reconnect with her. He goes to like a football game with her grandson to try to like show up. And so it seems like he's trying to make changes. And they seem to be kind of working. Like after the football game, he meets his grandson Dre and like gives him a ride home. And on the ride home, he stops by a boxing ring because Dre said, I think Dre got in a fight or something like that. And so he's like, "Here, let me show you how to actually box." And they like, he like shows him how to box for a little bit, gives him a little bit of tips and things like that. They kind of start to connect there. And it does seem like his character is turning around. And one other thing that seems to have him turn around is he then goes back to that whorehouse, the place that he delivered all those girls to, and goes inside. And when he's in there, he's like, he wants to take a look at the product. And he goes and finds that girl that like ran, like grabbed his arm and like asks if she has any family, asks if he can notify them. He seems like he's trying to free her. And what she says is she needs $20,000 to be free. And then she shows him a picture of her son. So he says he can't help and leaves. It's a very weird interaction because he gets up there and you're just like, okay, well, maybe he's going to like Liam Neeson his way out. He's gonna like start using his skills. But no, he just goes there, sees her, asks about her, has a conversation with her, and then leaves. So after this, he has another job from his boss. He has to go get some money from a priest. And when he's doing this, they get ambushed. The priest gets shot after he gets the money, and then Neeson has to fight his way out. And he's very cool and calm about this. And he's in a truck, so he at least has like ability to hide, and he's able to fight off two of the people. But then the one other person that he didn't anticipate shoots him in the leg with like a shotgun. I think it just grazes him because he doesn't like blow his leg off. But then Neeson's able to shoot him back and go over and get some information from him. And the information he gets from this person is that he was hired by someone with like a spider tattoo, like a big guy with a spider tattoo on his neck. And you get to see how cold Neeson is here because when he's doing this, when he's getting the information, the guy's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. You're going to kill me anyways. Why would I tell you? And he's like, well, I'm going to grab your wallet and I'm going to see where you live. And I assume when I get there, there will be someone there, someone that you care about. So either you tell me or that something bad is going to happen to that person. So you get to see like how good he was at his job and how much of a dirtbag he was, which is supposed to give us a little bit of insight in his character. Again, I just didn't really feel much sympathy for him. He was kind of a piece of shit the whole time. Then he got CTE and tried to reconnect with his family at the very last minute. I mean, no, can't really make up for a life of badness. So Neeson is getting closer to this woman that he met, and they have this weird forced conversation about his son, where he tells her about some of his son's like predispositions and how it like bothered him. It felt very forced. It felt like it kind of came out of nowhere, and it also felt like it wasn't something we needed to know for his character. I think it was supposed to like maybe show that he is reflecting on his choices, but again, it just felt like it came out of nowhere. Didn't feel realistic. Anyways, they then go out to a nice dinner. It's cute. He invites her. He invites his family, his daughter and grandson to come as well. They don't show up. And at the dinner, Neeson's not like, okay, well, we'll have a nice dinner anyways. He like freaks out and gets a little violent and like starts yelling at the waiter because they're like, we can't hold this table anymore. And he's like, oh, you'll hold it for as long. Like it is a very forced switch. You got a little bit of his memory problems throughout, not a ton, but he had little instances of memory problems in the movie. But then this like switch to be more violent and like uncontrollably violent. Before he was like calculated violent. Like I will be violent when I need to for the job. And other times he was like a pretty good person, heart of gold, that kind of thing. Here, he's at a restaurant and he's mean to like the waiter. He like gets upset, gets kind of like almost dementia-ish. Like it feels like he doesn't know what's going on. And the girl there, the woman, has to like take him back to his house. Now she takes him back to his house. He falls asleep, he passes out, and the next morning she's there, and it turns out that she called his daughter. And he gets very upset about this because he hadn't told her what was going on with him. He was just trying to reconnect, and his daughter's like, that's weird, why are you doing this? Well, now she knows why he's trying to reconnect, and that might have actually helped him connect with her, but now he gets upset at his daughter for knowing the information, and the girl, the only person that was nice to him, for calling his daughter and telling her the information. So he throws them all out. And I just felt like they needed to project this anger earlier, this like meanness that he had, this mean streak that he had. We didn't see it until this moment, the dinner and the time after, and it felt like it came from nowhere. And maybe the implication is that his mind is going. Maybe the implication is that it's degrading, but they said it'd be gradual. They didn't say it would be like that. It felt like it was like that. So I think this incident caused him to really think about his mortality. So he wants to do something nice for his daughter. His daughter can't afford a house, so he's going to figure out how to get a down payment on a house. And the one thing he's thinking is like, I've worked for my boss for 30 years. Uh, you know, I know it's a lot of money, but I've put in so much time. Maybe he'll be okay with it. So he goes to his boss with the idea that I'm going to ask for $40,000 as like, a bonus, whatever, so I can put this down payment on my daughter's house. When he gets there, there's a new person there, a new thug, and his boss is there, and the kid is there too. And so Neeson is about to start asking, but then the boss asks him about his memory problems. And, then he says that he has to let him go because he can't have someone on his payroll who has a brain disease. And Neeson's like, after 30 years, he's like, yeah, like, that's just how it is. I'm sorry. And he's about to go, and he notices the guy, the new person, the new thug, who was apparently hired by the kid. That's like his bodyguard. And that thug has that spider tattoo, and he's a big guy. So Neeson puts two and two together, takes out that spider guy, and then pulls a gun on his boss and says, your son hired this person to kill me. Did he tell you about that? Did he tell you about that? And he also, I think, shoots the kid in the leg as when he tries to attack him. So Ron Perlman's like, look, like this is between us. Don't kill the kid. Like, just kill me. Don't kill the kid. And you think Neeson's gonna be like, okay, like, and so Neeson then gets the boss to open the safe, grabs a bunch of money, gives him the money, and then you think he's gonna like let him go. I was like, okay, maybe he'll just let him go because they have a long relationship. But then he says like, 30 years, you get rid of me like a dog, like, and then he shoots his boss in the chest. He doesn't kill the kid. He just shoots his boss and leaves. He goes to a lawyer, gives the lawyer some money to put a down payment on his daughter's house. This lawyer seems to understand the game because he's like, do I want to know where this money came from? And Neeson doesn't say anything. He just pays the lawyer's retainer, gives him the money for the down payment, and leaves. He goes to see that girl he's been seeing. She doesn't pick up. He finds her on the ground with, I think, like burns on her arm. It looks like maybe she overdosed. I don't remember. I don't know exactly what happened, but it seemed like, you know, she's not in a great place. He then goes to that whorehouse and brings a bunch of money. He says he wants to buy a girl, and he goes to find that girl that he found before, and the pimp is like, she's not for sale. And he says, why? And then he goes and shows her, and it turns out that she's dead. Some John earlier had like gotten a little too rough with her and had killed her. And so this triggers Neeson because he was just going to free her and I think move on. But no, now he's going to do something else. He tells everyone to leave, gets all the girls to leave, to like go downstairs. All the Johns have to stay there. And he gives money from his bag to each of the girls as they leave. So he frees everyone. As this is happening towards the end, one of the guards does get a jump on Neeson. He's not noticing, but one of the girls yells right before that guard shoots. Neeson's able to dodge it, shoots the guard, but in that time, the pimp pulls out a knife and just shivs him a bunch of times right in the chest. Now Neeson's able to kill the pimp then, but he has a lot of blood on him. The girl tries to help him. He's like, no, no, go, get out of here. So Neeson is hurt a lot. He's bleeding in his, bleeding through. He gets into his car. He drives. He goes to see his grandson Dre. I think he gives him some money and then keeps going. And he gets back to his house. He gets back to his house. He sits there in the quiet, goes into his house. It's dark. It's very quiet. It seems like it's just very in the very early morning. The sun starts to rise, and he just ends up dying in his house. And as the sun rises, we hear water, we hear waves. There's been a water motif throughout this. He's been having this recurring dream of he and his father in a boat. They used to go fishing every Sunday, I think. And then one day, his father couldn't go. Neeson tried to go in the boat by himself, and his father like didn't like this. He didn't want him to take the boat on his own, and so he like never went again. So this motif has been going throughout. He's been having dreams about being with his father, and his father talking about like how, it's dark down in the water. That's where you'll end up eventually, but you gotta try to like stay afloat for as long as you can. There's like storm clouds behind them in some of them. And so it seems like at this point, when he dies, you hear the water, you hear the waves. And it seems like maybe he's fallen to the water, he's done what he can, and that now it's over. So that is Absolution. Like I said, I think you should probably pass on it. I thought it had some interesting ideas. I like that Liam Neeson is taking on these characters, but for me, it just the drama wasn't there, and the sympathy for his character was not there for me. So it really is a movie where you have to connect to the main character to really feel something for it, and I just didn't. So if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.